Hey guys, Thomas the Jr. here, aka Mustached Tom, here to review Deadpool, one of my most disappointing movies of this year so far, and I know what's gonna happen. People are gonna go in the comments, if they even come across this video, and they're gonna say all the mean stuff in the world, probably without hearing even what I have to say, and they're probably also gonna dislike the video without probably hearing what I have to say. And it's so baffling what has happened with this movie. And it comes before even the movie hits, right? So we have the trailer of Deadpool, which by no means is anything perfect, but everyone's declaring it's perfect, or at least some of the reviewers I've seen have done this, and I'm wondering why, right? So we have 20 to 30% of the jokes, potential jokes, spoiled for you. We have Colossus, spoiled for you, and everyone's fine with that, right? Then we have Superman versus Batman. Doomsday shown for about roughly 5 to 7 seconds, I want to say, and everyone gets upset. They get angry that they know Doomsday is going to be in the movie, and now they all know what the movie is going to be. So, what's the exception for Deadpool? Please leave a comment why Deadpool is the exception. I would love to know why Deadpool gets to be the exception to spoilers. You either hate spoilers or you love spoilers. I don't know if there's a middle ground, but I guess Deadpool somehow makes the exception. Somehow. Everyone's fine with it. Somehow. Anyways, putting that aside, we have Ryan Reynolds, who everyone says is the perfect Deadpool, and I get it. Deadpool sort of, his human look was based off of Deadpool, but here's the problem. Ryan Reynolds sounds nothing like Deadpool. His voice sounds nothing like Deadpool. I've seen people at Comic-Con do better voice work as cosplaying as Deadpool rather than Ryan Reynolds playing himself cosplaying as Deadpool. There's a slight difference there. I mean, why not get the Deadpool from the animated show to do the live action movie? Was he not proportionate enough? I don't know. What's the case? Why couldn't he be in the movie instead? He probably would have done it way better, at least from a voice perspective. And it is distracting when you hear the actor and not the character. There's a slight distinction there as well. So there's that issue that I just wanted to briefly bring up before talking about this movie directly. So let's talk about the movie. The story is that Deadpool, it's his origin. He meets this woman who I'll just call black-haired Mary Jane because it's a thing of Spider-Man pretty much. He had the damsels in distress. He has to save her, and that's about it, right? So there's that. And here's the weird thing: is that they show this movie from the some middle point, and then they go via flashbacks to the origin, right? And the issues I have with the references is that they're not good. I mean, let's look at one of them. For example, there's the one where he meets the old lady, and like I want to say roughly 5 to 10 seconds in of seeing it, I was like, this is Oracle talking to Neo. And the reference is made, I get it. Do something clever with it so we can laugh. I did not laugh, because instead of doing something funny with that reference, they make another reference within that reference to what was it? Scary Movie, I believe, with the small hand. They make that reference. They do a reference within a reference. So the first reference completely loses all of its luster, and we move on to the second reference, which also just isn't funny at all. So that's two references you killed instead of doing two awesome references. And that's a problem where you do too many references and don't build off of how good the reference is. And the fact that there were some that were so predictable. Like I said, I saw that one coming. I like, it took me out of the movie That's how bad the reference was. It took me out of the movie. I was watching The Matrix, but with Deadpool and this old woman. Uh, and that I don't think that should be the case. And let me do a comparison just so I can justify this, right? So we have Scott Pilgrim versus the World, one of my favorite comedy movies that has romance. This is how Deadpool should have been. The references were top notch and they were so well executed that I ended up laughing at every single one of them. I'm pretty sure I did. Um, because I didn't see them coming from a mile away. But when you see them, it's like knowing the trick to a magic trick. It's like knowing what's going to happen, and that totally takes you out of the experience when you know what's going to happen. And that's one of the issues with Deadpool for me is that you once you see the reference, the blink of an eye, you're just like, well, that's the reference. It's not funny. It's not clever. See? This is why I have such an issue with this movie. And I know some people are going to be like, well, you didn't read the comic book, yada, yada, yada. But I'm reviewing the movie. I am reviewing the movie by itself, separate from anything else. And it feels so sucky to have to be forced to refer to something else in order to make my point across. So there's that issue, right? The other issue I have is a bit personal with Deadpool because when I was a kid, I started writing a book. I have talked about this book on my channel before. I did a non spoiler review on it and I said it was a terrible book. It was a bit of a joke on myself, and I was willing to go that distance to try to put that book across. But if someone were to ask me, what inspired you to write that book? I would probably say it's a combination of X-Men and Deadpool. Deadpool. And I'll repeat that a third time. Deadpool. Because my characters are so wacky, zany, and out of control. Ever since I was a kid, I was writing this, by the way. And I published it, and it was a complete flop and mess. Now, let's just say hypothetically that it blew up and people knew that Syndicate X was a thing all of a sudden. No one, I can guarantee you, after seeing this movie, everyone's just gonna say you're a ripoff of Deadpool. Instead of saying, hey, you are inspired by Deadpool. You're awesome. Here's the book. It's called Syndicate X. Shameless plug. I mean, I want to say I have a bit more violence in my book than Deadpool has in his movie. A bit more. And probably would never be turned into a movie because other reasons, mainly being child murder, but hey, that's probably not gonna fly anytime soon. But Deadpool's A-okay, according to everyone else. So that's my personal issue with this movie is I feel it has affected my capabilities to make anything come out of Syndicate X. And that sucks so much that I could not enjoy this movie because I was able to click and get almost all of the references before they happened, and when the references hit, they weren't that very interesting to look at. And the characters, besides Deadpool, also weren't that very interesting, with the exception of Colossus, which I find baffling as well, as I've heard other people say that Colossus was a complete waste of time and unneeded, when I feel it's the complete opposite. He should have been in the movie earlier to help Deadpool way earlier in the movie. He should have probably been there in the opening scene with or get in there with Deadpool early on so they can interact with each other so much more, because that was where the comedic timing and the interactions between the two was the best. That was where all the good comedy came from, was their interactions with each other. And it's such a shame that Colossus was so wasted in this movie. So wasted. He had two jokes and they both landed. Two jokes! I think. There might have been more, but I counted two. And it should have been their banter together. And it sucks that there couldn't have been. I get it, there could have been more X-Men, blah blah blah. So why not introduce new characters? That Here's the thing. Look, I'm pretty sure someone would have done this for cheap. I would, like, for example, if people knew what Syndicate X was earlier, and the director came to me and said, "Hey, you want to be in this movie?" I would have said I would do it for free. I would be in Deadpool. I would not get paid to be in Deadpool. I would do everything for free. I don't care. It wouldn't have been about the money. I would have wanted Deadpool to just get out there and just be a good interaction, good reference movie with better comedy that would make me laugh because I did not see it coming, instead of being predictable. So that's why I'm going to give this movie a 3 out of 10. This 3 out of 10 comes from Colossus being a good character but being wasted, and from the pretty good action scenes, which, again, I get is also a reference to almost every other action movie out there. So the action sequences were good in themselves. Yeah, that's true, and I'm willing to say that. So there's that, but everything else definitely falls flat for me. And if you enjoyed Deadpool, that's fantastic. I applaud you for liking the movie, and I hope the sequel with Cable does way more interactions between Cable and Deadpool. I'm hoping and praying that that's the case. So here's to hoping. I'm Thomas D'Souza Jr., aka Mustached Tom, and please have a little mercy. I'll see you guys next time.